Tell me the truth. Is he even real, or is this some Kaiser Sose situation?
Oh, I assure you he's very real.
And what's his name again?
I'm not at liberty to say.
Because of the NDA.
That's right.
Do all cowboys have NDAs?
Welcome to Decoding TV's coverage of Lanterns Episode 2 entitled Trust Fall. Here on Decoding TV, we recap and review every episode, share our thoughts on how the show is going so far. I'm David Chen here with Patrick Klepek. Patrick, before we get into today's episode, I did just want to read a quick follow-up from Scott writing in from Lincoln, Nebraska to decodingtv@gmail.com.
Ooh.
Last week on the podcast, I commented on Kelly MacDonald's accent. I said she had such a wonderful Southern accent for No Country for Old Men. I wondered why she didn't use the same accent for this show. Obviously, it was at the direction of whoever's running the show. And Scott wrote in, as somebody who has lived in Lincoln, Nebraska for almost 20 years, I felt compelled to write in regarding your comments about what Kelly MacDonald was going for with her accent in Lanterns. Most linguists agree that the place where the neutral-sounding general American accent is most prominent is none other than Omaha, Nebraska. Nebraskans live too far south to pick up the Minnesotan "yeah, you betcha" accent and too far north to pick up the Texas drawl. It's very common for people to visit Nebraska and wonder why we don't have accents they think we should have. While Rushville certainly isn't Omaha, it's about 300 miles northwest, it's very likely that if MacDonald had a dialogue coach, she was probably told to play it as neutral as possible for authenticity's sake, end quote. Thank you so much for the perspective, Scott. Of course, I don't think that Scott knew at the time that they just explained the way that she lived in Gotham for her whole life, basically, or she spent a substantial time in Gotham, and that's why she doesn't have the Nebraska accent. I don't know why she doesn't talk like she's from New York, though. Anyway, no,
I can back up this observation. I have traveled to Omaha, Nebraska a number of times for various family events on my wife's side, and none of that like thick accent you think is
right.
Like not something you encounter. If you encounter it, it's because they're not actually. They may not have been born in Omaha, Nebraska. They were born in a different part of Nebraska, and then moved to one of the bigger cities to have more access to things.
I was kind of drafting off what Garrett Dillahunt was doing, and why doesn't everyone talk like Garrett Dillahunt in the show? And now I know. Now I know it's because they're not supposed to. So
one of my favorite things about my wife was you could tell that she'd had just a little bit more than normal to drink because she spent a lot of time growing up in Minnesota. And she would say house is like would slip out, and I was like, oh, like
what does that mean? What do you mean?
House. It was a house instead of house. Her accent would
it would come out when she
would only come out in like certain situations, like when she had a little bit to drink. And that has since been stamped out. I've not heard House in many, many years, sadly. But when we were first dating, that was one of those tells. It was like, oh, it is 1 a.m. We should go home. House. And so it does happen. But yeah, accents also come and go based on where you end up as you get older as well.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about the episode. Lanterns, Season 1, Episode 2. Patrick Klepek, what did you think overall of this episode?
I continue to love the way this show is slow playing itself. I think we're getting just enough of the really strange, out there, cosmic concepts sort of being laid out, but treated really seriously, but not necessarily treated as a joke either. I think the show is riding a really fine line. And, a lot of shows, there's a reason that they will issue the first 2 episodes because it gives you a shape of what's going on. I think Lantern's pilot does a good enough job of giving you a sense of what the show is, its characters, and a little bit of what's to come. But it is truly by the end of this episode, David, it's like, all right, if you were worried that we're ignoring the expanded cosmic nature of the Lanterns and what else is out there, even that it slow plays a little bit, but like it's not ignoring it. You get there, and I could not be more excited. I still don't really know what's going on, but it's clear that mystery is going to be at the heart of what's happening here. And Damon Lindelof, who is obviously one of the main creatives, has gotten better and better at doing mystery shows over the years, Lost On. And I cannot wait to keep unwrapping what's happening here. It's a delicious show, and I'm so anxious for the 3rd episode.
Yeah, you're saying they're like slow playing it. I don't think they're slow playing at all. I think they're dropping it right at like in a huge exposition dump this episode. They're dropping it all on us and letting us know kind of what the stakes of the episode are.
I guess they just
the season are, I should say. You know,
he flies, and then all of a sudden he flies a little further distance than we have seen demonstrated in terms of the Green Lantern power set so far.
Right. I think this show is really enjoyable. I also think it's a show that asks a lot of its viewers, and in a way similar to the way Watchmen asked a lot of its viewers. And what I mean by that is, in both shows, basically, a shit ton of stuff happened before the show began, right? Like, all this stuff happened before the show began, and then the show catches you up as quickly as possible through news clips and people telling stories and exposition dumps and so on, and just expects you to just like hang on, like we're introducing world-altering bits of information every episode, and you just need to go with it. And I'm willing to go with it. I have no issue with it. But it's just like, wow, this is really expecting a lot, because we'll talk about it, but there's a big exposition dump this episode, and they offer you very little to like help the viewer along the way. Like it's just you just need to. It's like telling your children to like imagine something instead of like giving them the toy. Do you know what I'm saying?
But also just kind of rushes past things in a way that
right.
Like, we've now multiple times talked about the Guardians. Who the fuck are the Guardians?
Right. The Guardians are huge and powerful, and they're gonna be a huge part of the show, I assume.
Right.
And it's like, we've never seen the Guardian. We don't know what their deal. You know,
the show drops terms and reference, but I guess it's a testament to the show. I don't know what any of those mean. Right. So I feel like I'm coming to this fairly cold, and I don't feel lost, and I don't feel like I'm being. I think it's navigating it pretty well. It's what it is confident. Like, I feel like when it's making references, I have confidence the show will get me around to understanding why that's important and what it means. And the moments where, like, this episode talks about the Manhunters, like that starts as a reference, and then we get into why is this one of the most terrifying threats that could arrive on planet Earth, and then we spend time unpacking that. Whereas the Guardians, I'm sure we'll get there, but that's the one that cracks me up every time they say the Guardians. Like,
what else? Or just that he thinks the Guardians may have hit the Manhunter here.
They wouldn't do that.
Well, shit, that's what I said.
I knew there was something about this place.
who are the Guardians?
All right, let's talk a little bit about what happened in the episode. I'm going to read from the Wikipedia plot summary. I have also added in my own David Chen spices into the Wikipedia plot summary, so it's not an exact quote, but, it's close enough. In 2016, with his ring nearly depleted, Hal sends John back to Coast City to retrieve his lantern while he continues investigating the shooting. Learning that the stadium's metal detectors secretly contain alien-detecting technology, Hal convinces Carrie to let him question William. William refuses to cooperate, and when Hal refuses to leave, has him shot by a sniper. Hal later wakes up in the hospital. Carrie is afraid that things are becoming really unstable, and Hal's presence is only exacerbating things and undermining her presence as the sheriff, especially with Macon already possessing a lot of power in the town. Hal seemingly agrees to lay off his investigation, but when they leave the hospital, the place is completely abandoned, which is pretty suspicious. So, Patrick, let's talk about some of the stuff that happens here. I have to say, very strange for Hal to get shot by a sniper rifle and then seemingly be unbothered by that.
There's a line from, I think, Stewart, he says when they talk about it later, like, oh, clean in and out, because he has familiarity.
Right, he says clean in and out. It's like,
I do think
they must have been using a very, very weak rifle, is what I'm saying. Because any conventional sniper rifle would completely annihilate a human body at that distance. In my opinion,
I think what we're meant to take away is this is a highly trained sniper that took the shot, and that the shot was meaningfully took to pierce. But like, if we wanted to kill you, we could. We shot in a way that is your heel. And I looked at how feasible is that in reality? I don't
like,
know.
For a weapon to be accurate at that range and not
Maybe.
do, okay.
I don't know.
Who knows? Okay,
I'm
you're
not
right.
a sniper.
You're right. I'm not a gun expert. I apologize. I shouldn't speak, but it just felt like he sustained seemingly no damage whatsoever. That's
that part I agree. Like, I can buy that, like, how you shoot a person with what bullet, like there could be an expertise in like making it as minimal as possible. That said, given that the whole pitch of the lanterns is like you don't have any invulnerability when you don't have the ring power, I feel like Kyle Chandler is also not young. He's in his 60s. I feel like you would be on your ass for a couple of days.
Yeah, it felt like it would have devastated, but it's okay. I don't need to linger on that. Any thoughts on this plotline? Like we kind of start to understand some of the questions we had from episode 1, just like start to lock into place. Macon's men detected aliens through this alien detector. They knew that they were aliens. They killed them all, right? Problem solved. Like, we don't need to worry about it anymore. Hal Jordan can go home, right? And that's kind of what the ultimate thing that they are hoping for is.
I mean, as the most curious thing in the episode is the hospital.
Right.
The hospital is empty. It is a zombie hospital. All of the medical equipment wrapped in plastic as though it just arrived. And it gives you the sense that, I don't know, how much of this town is real is like what I was starting to think about when Hal leaves the hospital. Is like, why do they need him to leave so bad? Is it because they've got something to hide? Or are we just running an elaborate stage play out here and everyone's tired of being actors? I don't know. That more than anything has really stuck out. As like, that doesn't make a lick of sense to have a hospital like that unless it's for appearances. And what does that mean? And how much? And then at that point, how much is this share? Like, let me talk. Like, is that because she knows better, or I don't know? It's all a little suspicious, David. But it's fun to think about.
After retrieving Hal's power battery and Green Lantern suit and feeding his carnivorous plant Earl, John is kidnapped by aliens associated with Waylon Sanders. They reveal that they came to Rushville searching for a manhunter, an artificial being that caused the genocide of their entire race. The aliens threaten to destroy Rushville and give John 48 hours to find the manhunter. John informs Hal, who travels to a prison off-world to interrogate Sinestro, his former mentor and a rogue Green Lantern, about the manhunters. But Sinestro shows some interest in John. End quote. So, I mean, you're right. It's confident. I agree with you. I think it's also asking a lot of the viewer, right? They haven't seen Guardians. They don't know what their deal is.
Who is Sinestro? Why do I care about this?
They barely know Sinestro. We get a little bit of backstory.
Man.
Right. We get a little bit of backstory from Sinestro about like why they have why Hal knows him. The Kelly MacDonald character explains about Sinestro. Let me see what she said. Sinestro was a lantern, attempted a coup, and killed one of the bosses, and Hal Jordan took him down. That's kind of what Kelly MacDonald's character says about Sinestro. But yeah, not too much. What's a manhunter? As far as we know, we haven't seen a manhunter. By the way, the reason we haven't seen one is because they can take the form of humans. And that's ultimately the big mystery of the season, is among all the people we have met in the show, who is the manhunter? Right? I think that is going to be one of the central mysteries of the show, is like, who is the manhunter? And we'll find out sometime before the end of season 1, I assume.
And I wonder, we don't know enough. I'm sure this will be fleshed out, and it's why I didn't immediately go to a Wikipedia page to look up manhunters, because I feel like this show is going to reward, if you know, you know.
Yeah,
you can probably start thinking ahead to some of what might happen, but is also going to be written as though you don't know, and so surprises of how the different creatures work and species work. Which is all just to say, once I know that we're dealing with manhunters, my thought went to Hal's dead body at the end of episode 1. When a manhunter shifts shape, a lot of times when we have shapeshifters in pop culture, when they die, they shift back to their original form. Is that what happens with a manhunter? Or if a manhunter had taken the form of Hal Jordan, for example, and then died, do they die as in Hal Jordan's skin, or do they die in whatever a Manhunter looks like originally? I don't know, but
I see. So this would explain the flash forward from last episode. You're saying like
right, because I'm suspicious that Hal is dead, and so then I'm starting to think, and I think the show wants you to be suspicious on like everybody at this point, and the idea of a very budget conscious villain that can just look like a human as opposed to an expensive CG creature is both smart and fun, and makes you start looking at everybody in the show. At this point, everybody except what? Jon Stewart, I think is the only one I would take credibly off the table as not a Manhunter. I think everybody else, like Hal Jordan, is acting deeply suspicious in terms of how he interacts with the ring and yada yada. So that makes
I would
for a
say
fun
the
show.
aliens that kidnapped Jon Stewart, right? Well, also not Manhunters because they're trying to kill
suppose,
the man. I think
double agent Manhunter embeds with the people looking for the Manhunter. I don't think that's happening, but you know what I mean. It allows for that possibility space in the show, which is fun.
All right, let's talk about a few specific details of what happens in the show. What did you think of the suit, by the way? This is like kind of the really first time we got a good look at the suit. I think it looks pretty cool. You know, there's that moment when Stewart is holding the suit and imagining himself in it, and that's kind of nice, you know? And he's like, this is why I got into this in the first place, was because of the suit. And I think it looks pretty cool, pretty decent. We also got like pocket universes, which is something that was obviously a huge deal in Peacemaker.
Yeah.
But any opinion on the suit, Patrick Klepek?
Looks fine. You know, as a Green Lantern, non-Green Lantern person, it's hard to have two. Really, it's like, do you buy the person in the suit? And I will say, the way that Hal takes off to fly is like very unique compared to, I feel like, the way Superman does it.
Right.
You know, feels like how we usually see it. Like Iron Man looks very similar to how Superman like jettisons off. Like it's always like a sort of fist forward, but there's something about the way he sort of, I don't know, kind of gears up to like rev an engine before he leads off. And I thought that looked super cool when he's actually in the suit.
The idea behind it, I think, is that the way Superman does it is quote unquote physics based. I know it doesn't really make any sense, right?
Sure.
But like physics based, where, you know, he's like putting effort and energy into it. Whereas the idea behind Green Lanterns flying, I believe, is they just kind of think it. And then they just like, you know, they then fly.
Do they think of an object that's allowing them to fly, or like it's force of will that I think I should be able to fly, and the ring's like, yeah, of course you can fly. Let's fly.
So I think it's probably way closer to that of just like, hey, and we're off. Like it's not like it's happening because you're thinking it. It's not happening because you're doing anything to the air or the ground, right?
So like when you want to deflect a bullet, it's like, I just don't think I should be hit by those bullets, and then you don't get hit by the bullets, or do you have to conjure a force field that can prevent the? I guess we'll find out more of this as we go along. But
yes,
especially because Jon Stewart also doesn't know how to fly yet, and I'm assuming that will be like a very important moment at some point this season.
If you have any thoughts on how Green Lantern's abilities should manifest themselves on screen, let us know at decodingtv@gmail.com or in the comments at youtube.com/decodingtv. Speaking of flying, we do learn that John manifests a bird, which Hal is quite surprised by, and he can't bring himself to acknowledge that it's incredible that he was able to manifest the living thing. And not only that, keep it alive without a ring, which is even more impressive. So yeah, that's also like a big deal. I don't know that we really have any commentary on that, but what is very clear between that and the very end of the episode, where Sinestro seems to already know about Jon Stewart, is that Jon Stewart is a lantern with extraordinary capabilities and potential, is what we are led to understand from this episode. So how that will play out, who knows? But it does seem to be one thing that the show wants us to understand.
Well, I think we're definitely setting up that John is special.
Yeah.
And like the ring picks a ring holder. How that is determined, you know, maybe that's something the show will get into. I'm not super clear on that myself, but I do think there's something about Jon Stewart that is different than Hal Jordan or other potential lanterns, and I'm curious what that ends up being.
But Sinestro describes him as the second greatest threat behind the Manhunter, which I'm curious, like, why would Jon Stewart be a threat? And if he is a threat, Hal Jordan, maybe you shouldn't treat him like garbage anymore, as you have been. You know, maybe you don't want to antagonize him. Who knows? We'll find out next week. Manhunters themselves, by the way, like unclear exactly what their purpose is or what their provenance is. What we do know from the show is that it is heavily implied that the Guardians are in some way responsible for the Manhunter being on Earth. The idea being like Abin Sur brought the Manhunter to Earth, and the Manhunter killed Abin Sur, and that's how Hal Jordan got his ring. So why would the Guardians want to embed a Manhunter in Earth? TBD. Another one of the mysteries that the show is raising. Finally, I did want to call out the scene where the aliens kidnap Jon Stewart and explain to him what's going on. Probably, like, in my opinion, sums up a lot of the sensibility of the show, right? Hey, we're going to tell you a bunch of like wild stuff, but also like, I really like the way the scene is set up. They're in this abandoned office building. There's all these dudes standing around that don't say anything, and they're just like part of the team. And he says, "Oh, I guess we can imprint the Holocaust memories on you, right?" And he's like, "What? I don't even know what you're talking about." And they use like this gun that like they inject the memories into his head or whatever, which we never see what they are. And I really appreciate how matter of fact the guy is describing is like, sadly, you know, the effects of our people's loss will be with you for quite some time. All right, moving on to the next topic. You know, he's just like, you're going to experience some real long-term emotional damage from that. But anyway, we need to get to the next details of the plot. I really
Well, it's convenient, but also I just recently watched it the first time with my kids, but rewatched Independence Day, which is one of my favorite movies ever. And that movie does a similar trick, right? Where when the president is confronted by one of the aliens, he sees like the invasion tactics of the invading aliens in Independence Day. Whatever he saw, like you would see displayed on screen, is not nearly as interesting as what your brain might conjure. And so much of that is in the performance, both in Independence Day, completely bought, like, oh man, these aliens seem pretty fucked up. And the performance you get here in Lancer's, like, yeah, it's these guys seem brutal and unrelenting and terrifying. And I think that sells that better than any set of CG scenes would have shown of whatever. Plus, I think they're going to want to keep whatever the Manhunters look like and how they present themselves under wraps as long as possible.
Right. It reminds me of have you seen Andor season 2?
Bits and pieces, not the whole season yet. Sorry. You can spoil away though if you'd like to. It's okay.
Well, in Andor season 2, they have this way of torturing, like the Empire has a way of torturing characters, which is they made recordings of this species that's able to like transmit their death rattle to people and make them feel things that are unimaginably horrible.
I think there's a little bit of that in season 1. I want to say
maybe that was whatever it was. Whenever it was
horrible though, terrifying.
Yeah, well, yeah, and they put the headphones on the person, but you never hear what it is.
Yeah,
right. And so it's kind of the same. It reminded me of the headphone scenes in Andor. I would be surprised if it wasn't inspired by the headphone scenes in Andor, honestly. But kind of a similar vibe. I do want to point out that Sinestro, the sort of plot line that we're told for Sinestro is a little bit different in the show as it is in the comics. And ditto, like kind of the origins of Manhunter as well. So it's interesting to see like how they're changing them here. And we'll see like how that all plays out. I don't know enough about what is going to be in the show to really speak confidently about any of it. But I will say there are a couple of like lingering mysteries, right? Like I really appreciate the show just sets up a bunch of mysteries right out the gate that we're like, hey, what's going to happen? What's going on with the hospital? Who is the Manhunter? And also this other thing, why didn't Waylon set off the alarm? That was a thing that happened, right? It was like Waylon was the character that blew himself up last episode, but didn't set off the alarm. So like, what happened there? Is he not an alien? Is he an alien that has overcome the detector technology? Is the detector technology flawed? Like, I do wonder if we're going to get an answer to that, but it has definitely been set up as well. Patrick, any other thoughts on the episode? Any moments from the episode you want to highlight?
Well, just one. I will admit to sort of sitting up my seat and pointing at the screen when the sheriff mentions she's from Gotham.
Well, you don't exactly scream Rushville.
You're a snob.
It doesn't mean I'm wrong.
I'm from Gotham. Moved here on a whim.
Because one of the things that
Yes.
hangs over this entire universe is not knowing what to do with Batman because they're sort of paralyzed by the parallel stuff happening with Matt Reeves' Batman films with Robert Pattinson. So it's like is that just a throwaway? Should I actually start conjuring thoughts of like where Gotham sort of fits within it? Like the only reference we get to that in the Superman film from last summer is like a shot that shows a highway that's sort of like, hey, you could go to Gotham if you follow this way. And then we get here someone actually from Gotham. Like, is that anything? Or is that just the DC universe being like, we get it. We're so sorry. We're trying to figure it out, but we haven't landed on it yet. But it's fun. Like I don't know if it's meaningful to the character, but I will admit to going like, when that happens, which was fun.
It's wild to think of Gotham existing in the same universe as Rushville, Nebraska, which is a real place that exists in the United States. So
yeah,
I wonder. Yeah, I know that's like.
And how does she end up there? What's the sheriff doing in Rushville?
Yeah.
It's a weird. You know what I mean? Like we're not talking. Gotham is life of the party. We're like, this is a huge city in this world, but then we go to Rushville for a guy. That guy, that family. Makes me think something else is. That's why. That's the fun part, though. It's like, are you the Manhunter? What are you doing in here? Why are you here? So it's. I'm enjoying that part.
In America, Rushville has a population of 877, I believe. So very small. I think Lanterns itself was actually filmed in Georgia, though. Georgia and LA, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway,
couldn't get the Rushville tax credits to film it there.
I think probably a production like Lanterns would be very disruptive to a town like Rushville in real life. Hey everyone, David Chen here. Thank you so much for watching that video from Decoding TV. If you want to get an audio version of the show, all you got to do is go to podcast.decodingtv.com. And if you want to support what we do, get ad-free episodes of the podcast and also bonus episodes of the podcast, go to decodingtv.com and become a paid member. Of course, you can also like and subscribe for more. We appreciate it. Thanks. See you later.